Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Are you ready? It's showtime.
Hey guys, how you doing? It's James Adeleke, Chief Executive and Founder of Generation Success. I am delighted, yes, delighted to be back for another one of our Thursday live sessions. And the great thing, this is our first live session of the year of 2020, OMG, and we are back bigger, better than ever before. Now, for those who don't know, these live sessions are a great way for us to kind of share some insights from the Generation Success community, introduce you to some of the most forward-thinking leaders within society and within the business world, and get them to share their top tips for you to achieve your success, and also their top tips as to how you can navigate stuff from diversity inclusion, from how to get into industry, all the way to how you can also become an ally. There's so much things that we cover, and I'm delighted that you are spending time with us today. Now, before we start, I'm going to bring you guys into the Generation Success world, because that is the best place that we can share some of our insights and top tips. Now, today I'm so delighted to be bringing in on board Colin Grist, who is Creative Director of Few and Far. Colin, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. How are you?
Oh, I'm delighted. I am so delighted. And even better, I've got you here as well, here with us on the show.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. I mean, how was Christmas? How was the New Year? What happened?
Christmas was really good. It was really relaxing. I don't think I touched my laptop for like two weeks, which is the first time in a while. And New Year was just chilled, really. I didn't do much for that, but it's a bit difficult at the moment with the pandemic and everything. But yeah, back to it now. What about yourself?
Yeah, it was amazing. You know, I went away, got married, and yeah, I feel like a new man. Just a small thing, a small thing.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And Colin, I guess people are like, people are going to want to know who you are. Could you kind of share some insights about you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I'm a co-founder and creative director at a Leeds-based creative agency called Few and Far. We started in 2018, and we work with kind of charities and do good organizations.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Can I just say, I also love this picture. This is like picture. You need to give me their number. It's a fantastic.
Yeah, I definitely will. Yeah, it's very on brand for us. That we're very. It's just a very, we tried a different route with our photography, and I think people do resonate with it a lot. So
I love that. And how did you guys come up with the business? How did you guys start the business?
Yeah, sure. So I was actually freelancing for about 18 months to 2 years, doing web design brand projects around Leeds agencies. And I really enjoyed it. The money was amazing and all that kind of stuff. But I started thinking a bit more long-term about my life and career. And I was thinking, when I'm 50, 60, I don't think many people will want to hire this designer anymore. I won't be the cool designer anymore when I'm a lot older. And my dream had always been to run my own agency ever since I was like 16, 17. So I just decided one day to call my friend who I used to work with previously, Thomas, and asked him out for a pint. And I was just going to suggest to him, do you fancy doing something together? The night before the pub, I created like a 120-page slide deck. In the end, I just thought, I'll put a few slides together, and it ended up being over 100, just about what I wanted to do, why I wanted him to help me do it, where I saw us going, the vision for it and everything like that. And basically tried to persuade him to quit his job. And that's how we started.
I love it. What's funny is that when you are really passionate about something, you will start it and you just like write 100 pages.
It started out as this little small idea, but then I started writing down, putting decks down, putting the kind of clients we'd want to work with and the work we'd want to do, and it ended up being this like hour-long presentation that yeah, it was crazy. I'm glad I did it though.
So would you like, if you don't agree to me, I'm just going to carry on. I'm just going to keep on meeting you every single week.
Yeah, to be fair, he had a really good job, really well paid, and I knew obviously that it's a massive risk for anybody going into business, massive gamble. And I did sort of say all cards on the table. This is what I'd love to do, but if you don't feel the same, that's fine. And I was hoping in the back of my head that he would accept and he would do it. But I did know that could be a possibility. Thankfully, he decided to do it. But if not, I don't know what I'd have done then. I'd have had to try and find somebody else, I suppose.
I love it. And actually, did you guys have families at that time, or were you single young bachelors?
Just we were both. Thomas had just got married, and I'd been married a couple of years, but no children or anything like that. So yeah, kind of both settled, which is good. Both got our own homes, mortgages, etc. So pretty well grounded in all that stuff before starting the business. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Although you say that part about being well grounded, that sometimes can make it even harder, because you're like, one, how do I get this through my wife? We've got a mortgage to pay.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think through my experience of places I've worked and the people I've spoken to, that's a big reason why they never take that next step in their career, that they never, they've got a mortgage, they've got bills to pay, they've got, children, etc. And I understand all of that, but then they're really unhappy in their job. And they go to work and they're miserable, or they're moaning or complaining about stuff at work, and so they're kind of stuck because they'll never take that jump to do something they do want to enjoy because of all of the things they've got to provide for. But you can make it work. You just gotta do it.
You do. You just have to take that step and just make it happen. And was there any anything stopping you from taking that first jump, or was it just like straight away?
Yeah, the fear was the big thing. So the agency was the easy bit, but going freelance before that was the hard bit for me, because I'd always had full-time jobs. I was a senior creative and I was a senior developer before that at different agencies, well paid. But I knew eventually that I did want to go and work either for myself or with somebody else, and I was always waiting for this magical opportunity for that to happen. And I knew that eventually it was never gonna happen unless I did it myself. And the decision for that was one day I just broke down through burnout at work and not really getting the sort of the gratification out of the job anymore, and just thinking I'm just going to go into work and hand my notice in. And I did it, and I was I don't know if I can swear, but crapping myself basically. But I did it, and I did it without knowing that what I was going to do next. I didn't have any work lined up or any magical projects that were in the pipeline. That was the hardest point for me. Just going, right, I'm just going to go and do it and try it. And if it doesn't work, I can go back to this job or another job somewhere else.
I love that. Yes. They say sometimes you just have to jump.
Yeah. And I'm not normally a type of person to do that, to be honest. I'm quite I don't do stuff just on a whim. Like, I don't go on holiday without a plan of where I'm going and knowing my itinerary and everything like that. But I think I'd just done the job so long, and I was good at my job as well. I just knew that I had to take that next step myself and just do it. So yeah, it kind of felt like once I knew, and I just did it.
Oh, I love that. Once you knew and just did it. And the thing is, what was more scary, telling the missus that you're going to quit or quitting?
Yeah, it's a good question. To be honest, she was super supportive. She was like, lucky. I think because we'd been together so long and she'd known that was always the dream. She was like, you just do it. You should just try it. Like, we'll be all right, etc. And I couldn't have asked for any more, to be honest with that. I can imagine it's really difficult if you have that pressure though, of like, oh, you can't do that. I don't think you'd be able to do it without that support.
Yeah. So. Definitely. When I was on holiday, I managed to meet like a cricket legend, a guy called David Sammy, who was like first ever captain of the West Indies side. He's even got like a national stadium named after him. And it was like, the secret behind my success was that my wife always made sure that at home there was nothing that ever could trouble. Yeah, like,
so you can concentrate on that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. And my favorite saying is, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can't do you any harm.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Love that. That's great.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah. So when we both become millionaires, we can say, come back to our missuses and be like,
Yeah. I mean, she's in the other room, so she'll probably hear me going on about how awesome she is. But like genuinely, without her support, like it'd have been impossible. Like the times when I handed my notice in, and I was like, shit, what am I going to do next, and all that sort of stuff. Like she was there to support me with that. So yeah, props to her. I'll tell her later.
definitely props to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with you guys being co-founders, because I've been very lucky. I've always been the founder and the person
The boss,
who made all the
boss.
decisions.
Yeah.
What's it like having a co-founder? Have you guys ever argued?
No, it's amazing, to be honest. I think first and foremost, we always got on. Like we were always friends. I wouldn't say at the time we were best friends. We'd worked together, got on really well, did great work together, both in senior positions. And it was weird because there was other people I could have started a business with, people I knew more, like my best friend who does a similar role. I could have started it with him, but I think Thomas was a certain type of driven person who I could see myself in him a little bit. Like I think we were of the same, I don't know, we had the same ethos, effectively the same drive to do it. And I think if I'd have just gone with like someone I know better, or my mate, or someone who's not as good, but I think it'll be a laugh, it'd have failed miserably. And I think I think he was perfect to do it with. We don't argue, but we have disagreements 100% every time there's a decision to be made, whether it's financial or it's like what the client is, so we're going to work with them or not. We have to have a discussion about it, but it's always cordial, always good. And sometimes it's really good to get someone else's opinion rather than just me going, yeah, let's just jump in and do this thing, because it might be the wrong decision. So all the decisions we've ever made together have been beneficial for both of us and for the business. So yeah, it's good. I'd recommend it.
I love it. Actually, some of the criticisms I always have for the team is, as an organization, we're very, very nice. We're like family.
Yeah.
And what that means is, like, rather than give people a critique, we're always like, oh, you did great, you did that great. But then I was like, sometimes it's okay to have that disagreement, that bit of argument, because
it really is. Yeah. Yeah, it's healthy. And I mean, I suppose it's like healthy discussion for us is how we run it. It's not just my decision goes or Tom's decision goes. We can both, have different opinions on it, and then we ask others for it, or coaches, or our wives, or anything for another opinion sometimes if we can't settle on a decision. But yeah, it's a good way of working. Because I can imagine for you or someone else who just runs it on their own, I feel like I wear a lot of caps in the business anyway, but as one person doing it on their own, that to me would be overwhelming. And trying to understand if I'm always making the right decision or the right choice. Are we going in the right direction? Yeah, it must be tough. So I can imagine.
It can be.
Yeah.
Now I've just learned to delegate. Even though it's more.
Well, yeah. That's the ideal.
You guys tell me, am I?
Yeah. Well, that's it. Eventually, you want to hire people who, in a way, are better than I am and better than you are. You want to bring people together who you work well with, who do a great job and eventually do a greater job than you could. And I think that's the key to running a successful business, really.
Hell yeah. And and talk about that. Whilst I was away, I was like doing a lot of personal development stuff, and it's really interesting how my mindset changed. Before it used to be like, okay, hire people so I can free myself up to do more sales.
Yeah.
And then this year was like, I've been watching. It was like, do the things you love and hire for the things that you're not good at or hate.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing was, bringing people so then I can free myself up to do more. Oh, look at that! It zoomed in. I've got one of these automatic cameras, so
nice.
You give it a hand signal, and it was like zoom in and out. Yeah. Do the things that you bringing people so that they can do the things that you hate or aren't good at, and I was like, that's just such a mindset. Like for me, me thinking I need to do more stuff to be like delegate and let that
Yeah,
happen.
because I mean, our background is in the sort of design and development of like apps, websites, and brands, but marketing, there's a lot more to it than that. There's, photographers, there's videographers, there's PR, there's all that sort of stuff. We don't claim to do all of that. Like, there's people out there that do that better than we will ever do, and so we just like to collaborate with those type of people and bring them in when we need them. So yeah, it's just rely on people who are good at their jobs to do good jobs. So
Agreed. And you know what? Over the years, I've realized how important marketing is. Like, it is so important, and there's so much psychology behind it. And there's just like, wow.
yeah, it's a big thing, isn't it? It's a big market as well.
Massive. Massive. And I mean, how is it like for you kind of trying to communicate the value that you guys add to businesses?
It's really hard. It depends, because you can have people who just go, I want a website, and then they sort of, you're just trying to service them. I think if you can get clients who understand the value of marketing but need help with marketing is the ideal type of client for us. We can like bring our advice and expertise to them to help them with that. But yeah, you basically have to find like-minded clients, people who are of the similar mindset as we are. I think if you're trying to sell someone on marketing who just doesn't care about it, it's pointless. They have to understand the benefits of being able to get more awareness of their brand, like increase their sales or make more donations, etc. They need to have a little bit of understanding. And when you meet those like-minded people, it's not really a sell then, it's just a good conversation about how we could help them and what benefits they get from working with us.
Totally agree. Yeah. I've learned that the hard way that, sometimes you have to invest in order to bring in a return, and over the years.
again it's, I mean, these people all run businesses and have all made those decisions, those jumps that we've mentioned already, and it is just sometimes you've got to make that jump to try and you might have to spend money to make money, basically. Spend money to spread the word more about your organization, or put more money into your website, or like money into a rebrand because people aren't resonating with who you are. Because eventually, long term, that stuff will reap rewards.
Hell yeah. I totally agree with you. And you know what? What's funny? I was just clocking because we're talking about you guys' area of expertise. I was knocking myself because I was like, we put all the best practices for the recruitment for our clients and stuff like that. But when it comes to ourselves, sometimes we don't do the same.
No.
Now, how's it like for you guys? You're marketing experts.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare because doing your own marketing is the hardest marketing. I think that's why a lot of businesses obviously outsource their marketing to people like us. But us doing our own is the hardest thing to do, because it always gets pushed back. It's the sort of free work that is always going to be overruled by paid work. But this year we've definitely made more of a drive to change that, and it has made a big difference. We've actually started reducing the amount of days we work specifically on client work to 4 days a week rather than 5.
Okay.
And that other day is spent on us and who we are and how we speak to people and how we look to the outside world. And that time has made a big difference to, people going on the website and go, oh, I read this thing that you'd said and it really resonated with me. Before it was just, lots of fluffy words about being a creative studio, but now we're a little bit more specific. And when you speak to people who have got the same values, you're talking to them a lot easier then. So yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's always I always say this analogy on the show, the story about the woodcutter and how a man's walking through the woods and sees a woodcutter soaring away, and the woodcutter's soaring away but not making any dent any progress through the tree. And the guy was like, why don't you just saw your tree and sharpen your saw? And the woodcutter was like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
But of course, you sharpen your saw.
I love that. That's great. I love that analogy.
Nice. And that's the power of that one day, that having an addition 1 day a week for you guys just to focus on the business, because like I said, we often put ourselves back, and prioritize everyone else.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also being a small company with like we're co-founders who also do the production work. So if we were to just do production work 5 days a week, I may as well just be doing that somewhere else where I can be paid more money to do it. So we have to wear both hats as far as doing the work and being the experts, and that's who people like and resonate with. But we have to, we have to spend time with our emails, invoicing, having conversations, all that kind of stuff. Because if we didn't do that, we'd effectively just plateau and just be like two freelancers effectively. So
oh yeah. And talk about it. What is the vision? What is the vision for the company?
Yes. So I mean, the name Few and Far does have it has some meaning. We want to stay small. We want to have a few of us who are experts. We've never envisioned us being like 20, 30, 100 people. We want to be like 5 to 10 people who are all, really, really good at their job, and we can still keep that like small collaborative team vibe going on. But our mission is effectively to help charities and do good businesses make the world a better place. That's really what we want to do. We've always worked in like the commercial sector, worked with, every organization I can think of, but we would rather give our expertise to people and organizations that are trying to make the world a better place rather than putting more money in a corporate's pocket. So yeah, that's the big vision. That's where we've realized we really want to go and what we want to get, what we want to give back to the world effectively, because it makes us feel good, it makes them feel good, and it helps them out.
Oh yeah. I know, also what that touches on is often people come to me and say, look, I want to make an impact in the world. And I'm like, do you want to create your organization, or do you want to impact? Do you want to utilize your skills, your expertise to impact society in the way you want to do it? And and what I love about the ethos of your organization is through the work of your company, influence, you're creating impact, you're making change happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I suppose people making an impact can, and obviously, even if we make a small difference, like a really small difference, like we could help a small charity with who are helping people with their mental health, or it can be a really large scale thing. They all help for the greater good. They're all things that build up to, making the world a better place. I'm not going to be able to prevent climate change or anything like that, but I'd like to think that a small difference we make could help with that. Whether it's doing a creative piece that raises awareness of it, or it gives people more information that they didn't have before, or statistics on global warming or anything like that. There's little things you can do to, make the world a better place.
Agreed. And well, before we move on to the next segment of the show, I just want to say, is there anything that you'd advise someone who wanted to start a business?
Yeah. God, so many things. I think obviously understanding your skill set and what you're good at, and really understanding who you are as a person is probably the number one thing I would say. If you just want to start up a business, but you're not really good at it, it sadly isn't going to probably pan out the way I've tried and failed. I thought when I was 17, 18, I'll start my own agency business, and didn't get any work because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know who to talk to or how to sell, and I've had to go through all the experience I've had to understand who I am and what I want to do. So I, like whether you're young or old, I think just know what you're good at and what you could get better at, and focus on that rather than trying to maybe start a business that's just completely left field from what you do normally, or doing it just for like money or profit purposes. That would be the big thing, just understanding who you are as a person. Then do your research, read lots of books. I read lots of books about how to run an agency, how to go from a full-time person to a freelance person, from a freelance person to an agency owner. Loads of podcasts, loads of YouTube. There's lots of stuff out there that's really easy to digest. So yeah, do your research. So get to know who you are, do your research. If you can get financial support at the start, great. If not, don't worry about it. I was hoping I'd have some magical pot of £1 million to start with, and you don't. So if you can, great, but if not, it just makes you work that little bit harder to do it yourself and prove to everybody that you can do it. And just as I said earlier, just make sure you have people around you that support your decision and are with you for the long haul, for the long ride.
Agreed. Those are some important tips. Like everything there. I don't, I don't know what's more important. I think they're all equally as important because especially that even that part about make sure you have the right people around you to support your decision. We often say that, show me your friends, show me the people around you, and I'll show you a future.
Oh, nice.
And that's more than just having people who, because often, parents will say to their children, in terms of that from an academic standpoint, like if you hang around gang members, you can become a gang member. If you hang around with academic people, you're gonna become an academically minded young person. But actually, it's so much more than that, especially when it comes to our age, like when we're adults, because it's not just about what people do, it's about their values, their beliefs, it's about how they influence you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I understand that people around you can influence you, but I think if you look inside yourself and know who you are and what you want, you can make a difference. You don't need to rely on your mates on the street or whatever, or you don't. If it's what you want and you think you're good at it and you think you can make a difference, you should go for it. Definitely.
Agreed. And also that point, if you know your driving forces, so if you have a friend that's always negative and you are a person who drives the negativity, like I'll show you. I'm going to take this idea to that person.
Yeah. But there's something to be said for proving your point and proving to others who don't think you can do it that you can do it. And I know that there was doubters when I started my agency. People going, "Oh, are you sure it's right? You get paid well, etc., etc." But it's like, yeah, but it's what I want to do. It's what I'll enjoy that more, whether it's higher or lower paid. I don't really care. I've got to try it.
Oh yeah. Because
I think going through life and having your regrets, that's a big learning for anybody. I think if I'd have got to 50, 60 and gone, man, I wish I'd have started that agency when I was in my mid-20s, early 30s. I wish I'd have done it, and I never did. And I ended up in a job that I didn't enjoy. Like, that would have been a huge career life regret for me. So I can at least say, whether it fails in a year or 5 years or whatever, I went, hey, I did it. And it's what I always wanted to do and tried it.
Oh yeah. And I've come back stronger. I've learned more. Like I'm a different animal than when I started.
Yeah, helps you grow and learn, and even the bad times you learn from them and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been the best experience. It's been the best thing I've ever done, and I wouldn't regret it whether it works out or not. Like it was something I always wanted to do. It was my goal in life to do it, and I'm doing it now.
And can I just say, the thing that frustrates the most about people is when they go, "How's your little company going?"
Oh yeah. Yeah, that little company that I sweat, blood and tears goes into every day. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
That. I'm like, and sometimes they don't mean, sometimes a lot of the times they don't mean it in that way, but it just comes across so wrong.
Yeah.
Or people like to ask, especially in the early days, like, how much you earn? I'm like, I don't ask you how much you earn.
No.
Mind your business.
Yeah.
But it's funny, people often ask how much you earn, but they don't ask how much you invest in it. Like, it's like, where's that mentality coming from?
Yeah. It's a different, I think it's just a completely different level of sort of pressure and thoughts that people don't realize compared to just when you work for someone else. I think when you work for somebody else and the only thing you're really worried about is day to day what you're working on, or like, some office politics, or some, like, I don't know, some gossip in the office, that there's not a lot to worry about in life. You're getting paid, you're getting paid well, you go to work every day, 9 to 5 or whatever. But when you run your own business, none of that's a guarantee. The money's not a guarantee. The income's not a guarantee for me and my family, Thomas and his family. And yeah, okay, I don't have to work with people I don't enjoy working with. I don't have like office politics to worry about, but I do have completely other things to worry about that people who have a job don't really think about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that it's like, oh, how's your business doing? It's like, yeah, it's really hard, but I really enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
How's your job going? Oh, I hate it, but it's good pay, or whatever. So yeah, everyone has different levels of like what's a problem to them. But yeah, it sometimes probably goes a little bit unsaid, I guess, the pressures of running your own thing.
It so does. It so does. And yeah, and especially also that mentality, like people don't really understand that mentality that every day you have to wake up and you have to hunt. Like, because if you don't hunt, we don't eat.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, and for those who don't know, today, the topic of today's conversation has been really behind closed doors, the real door of being an organization's founder. So, this is why I've been kind of just talking about what it's like running organizations, the pressures,
chatting about the stresses. Yeah. It's not all bad. It's not all bad though.
No, they're amazing, great days. And
they really are.
Yeah. Hell yeah. You know what? I often speak to founders and we all we will not go back to work for someone else if it's just, yeah. And, and talk about stresses. Let's shift onto mental health because I know this is something you're really passionate about.
Yeah, it is. I'm someone who I suffer with depression and anxiety, and I've kind of suffered with it since I was diagnosed in 2014, actually. So I was like 28, 29 at the time. And it came about because I was working somewhere. I was really invested in a project that I was working on. It was for a charity, actually. And I just went, I want to do such a good job on this. And I ended up in a sort of in my own world where I was suffering with like creative block, and which is a really common thing with designers and stuff, where you're just struggling to come up with ideas, even though normally it just comes naturally. I was really struggling with creative block at the time, and I was feeling awful. I was starting to get aches and pains and all this kind of stuff. And one night in bed, I think I had so much going on in my head. I kind of went to sleep and I woke up in the middle of the night and I was having like palpitations. I felt like, oh God, I'm having like a heart attack or something. So I went to my doctors and he checked me over and he was like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, like physically. However, I think you might want to speak to someone about your mental health because I think you're actually depressed. Wow. And all of these signs are your body telling you that you need to sort of take a step back and look after yourself. And I remember at the time going like, nah, it's not me. Because don't forget, this is 2014. I know that, but now mental health is such a well-discussed topic as it should, but then not really anyone I knew had ever said anything to me. Being in a cool kind of industry, a new up and coming cool industry where everyone's young and doing like cool creative, it just wasn't something that was discussed or ever came up. So I was like, no, it can't be right. But he offered me like tablets or to speak to someone and to see which one of those would do anything for me. And I'm not a big, like, I don't take a lot of tablets and stuff anyway. So I was like, well, I'll go to these chats, and it was effectively counseling. And it was such a good experience. I didn't want to go. After one session, I was like, oh, that was good. And I went to about 6 or 7, and it was all just about understanding where those issues had started and how I'd not addressed things in my life. And effectively, it's this, they call it a snowball effect, where it might be lots of small things, but they effectively roll into one large thing where your body just goes like, I can't cope with it anymore. So yeah, that was my experience, and I got better from that after my counselling and everything. But then in about 2016, I went to a digital conference, okay. And it was a sort of traditional conference where they talk about like new technology and all that kind of stuff. But someone on stage started talking about office morale and depression and looking after your staff and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, oh man, like, I've not heard anything on this before. And it really kind of, it made me sort of reflect on my own experience that I'd had 2 years prior, and got me sort of thinking about it and saying that other than this talk, no one's ever really still talking about it at all. In 2016, I didn't feel so anyway. So I wrote a blog post on my personal blog about my own experience from the 2 years prior, and how it had affected the people around me. It affected my workmates, that I'd had to take time out, and what I did to sort of help get over it and everything like that. And the reception I received was just incredible. People were coming up to me at work going like, oh, that it's so brave of you to write that. It's such a good thing that you're doing. I've experienced things like that, and I've never seen anyone talk about it. And it just kind of opened this sort of door to be like, oh, people are telling me they do have these experiences, but no one's really saying anything about them. And obviously now, like in 2022, people do talk about it, and it's amazing, and we should, and there shouldn't be any stigma around it. But it did feel a little bit back then like there was some real stigma about talking about being vulnerable, or especially as a guy, like, you know, there's this sort of bravado, isn't there, of like, we're all right and all that sort of stuff, but really we're not, and people don't talk about it enough. So yeah, I wrote the blog post, and it was this thing that just sort of blew up, and I had a few people come up to me and go, we should do something with this. Like, there's lots of people who probably want to share their stories and talk about their mental health. And so I founded Pressures and Perspectives, which is a blog and magazine that tells stories of people in the creative industry. So as I mentioned, it's a pretty new industry in the grand scheme of all industries that are out there. And you know, being able to talk about how copywriters struggle with their mental health, or designers, or developers, or music artists, or even chefs, anyone who's creative and struggles, we tell their stories. You know, they're brave enough to speak openly about them on the platform to help raise awareness, and that's what it's about. So yeah, that's like the thing I do other than few and far. Just and obviously when we get clients that are in the mental health space as well, it's just like everything, like the stars have aligned on all of the things that we do. So yeah, mental health is something that's very kind of close to me. I'm currently I actually lost a family member last year, and so I'm actually going through all of that again, and I'm actually taking antidepressants now for that. So it's not something I'm ashamed of. People shouldn't be ashamed of it, and there's no stigma around it, because if you're not healthy, then I can't. If I'm not healthy, I can't run a healthy business effectively. I can't put my all into it, and I can't put everything into like the work I do for people. You know, it affects everything. So yeah, it's important that you look after yourself.
It so is. Firstly, sorry for your loss, and
Yeah,
and thank you for sharing that. You know, because also like enabling people to share their stories also gives them that, empowers them.
It really does. Yeah, it really does. I think people. There was sort of two formats for the stories. They're either, you know, you could just tell me your story and we'll write it for you, or you can write it yourself and give us it to it, and we'll just sort of like, you know, edit it a little bit. And the amount of people who wanted to write it themselves, I think they found it cathartic, you know, like really good to just get it off their chest and put it out on a platform that is just going to like spread the word about that. I think a lot of people have really found it quite kind of rewarding in a way, and quite like, you know, it's a good thing to just go, oh, I've had that experience as well. So yeah, it's been a good thing. Yeah, just managing it's been difficult. Where managing two businesses is pretty hard.
Hey.
But
a glutton for punishment, as they say.
yeah.
But you know what? I hearing your story was amazing, because I crashed a few years ago as well, where, you know, I gave myself a year to make Generation Success happen, and you know, you woke up every day at 5 a.m. no matter how much sleep I got, whether that was 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 12, you know, and did that for a year, and not listen to my body. And I wish I actually gone to counseling, because everyone that's gone to counseling, everyone that's sought help, they've always talked about how that was so beneficial for them, how transformation it was.
It really did help at the time. It made me, you know, I went in going, oh, it's not me, this, I think the doctor's wrong and all that, you know, the doubt, you sort of like, I'm not that type of person, but we're all that type of person that can suffer with mental health. And I think going to someone who was, you know, they knew I was going to be that type of person, and you're just talking to them to try and understand why I'm the way I am and how I feel the way I feel, was massively important. And I would suggest anyone does it if they don't necessarily feel like they're themselves, because it really opened my eyes. And anyone that ever comes to me now, I'm like, you should go speak to a counsellor about it. It's like I'm almost a champion now for counsellors, whereas before I was like, you know, it's not my bag at all.
Man.
So yeah,
amazing. Yeah, because I totally agree. You should definitely do that, because unfortunately, I didn't seek any help, and I ended up just being in bed for like a month,
Yeah.
not moving, curtains closed, and not listening to my body, getting those fucking, like you feel like
Yeah.
you're choking,
Yeah.
and the heart's burning.
Yeah, that was it. I was like, I had my arm
Oh,
aching, and then I was waking up with chest pains, and I'm like,
yeah,
I'm having a heart attack at like 28 here.
I'm telling you.
And to be told that there's actually nothing physically wrong with you at all. It's your body telling you need to, it's the body's an amazing thing to be able to do that. So yeah, look for the signs, look for the warning signs if you have any.
Please do, please do. And actually, I remember there was, we'll move from this, but I just remember that there was times where I'd be standing there and it's like you're physically there, but like you're you're not there mentally, like you're some kind of hole somewhere.
Yeah.
And then people like, my mom was like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. I think another thing that gets sort of not mentioned so much is that how you're different around people when you didn't realize you were different. I think that was a real eye-opener for me at the time I was sort of diagnosed, because I'm a pretty positive, outgoing, bubbly person in an office environment, and I'd always been like that. And I started getting like snappy, and I had a bit of a short fuse and stuff, but I didn't know until afterwards when I'd been diagnosed. And I sort of said, to people at work, I've a bit, yeah, we thought you were acting a bit different. And, I kind of wish people had said something, but, people don't know what you're going through, or like what sort of day you've had, or what morning you've had. But it was only after when I realized that I'd been really different to around these people. And it's, you kind of, I think nowadays people are quite good at going, are you all right? You don't seem yourself and stuff like that. But I had no idea that I was being different to my normal self. So yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I remember the snappy days.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, just one thing, and it's not. Oh yeah, yeah. That has definitely taught me to what's the word that's definitely taught me to sympathize more and be like you said, just ask that question, are you okay, first before jump to conclusions.
Yeah. You don't know what people have had happen to them that day or that week or whatever. But yeah, I suppose I think there's snappy, but there's also just you're just being different to what you normally are, and it's sort of like day to day. You're actually, we all snap and have moments, but I think if you start like he's acting a bit different or she's acting a little bit different to normal, that there might be something else there. So
agreed.
Yeah.
So agreed. So Precious and Perspectives, guys, I ask you to definitely give it a read, because there's so much things there, whether it's for yourself or for your friends and family. Actually reading and understanding more about what people go through will actually make us better people for ourselves and those around us. So
absolutely, yeah. It's preciousandperspectives.com, and we've actually got the magazine is actually free on there. So if anyone wants to go on there, download it. It's a PDF. It's got my story in there. It's got 4 or 5 other stories in there, as well as statistics around mental health and some positivity messaging. So everyone just give it a download if you can, and I'd love to hear what people think.
I love that. Woo! See, guys, I told you get so much value from our show. And also talk about value. Colin, I know that in terms of your business, you've kind of got a special offer going on, or a special thing that you'd like to talk about. Share.
Yeah, that's right. Just because we want to help charities and anyone that's making the world a better place, we've got a free service that we call the Impact Optimizer, and it's basically a bespoke website audit or review for charities to help them increase their online donations. So it's no strings attached. It's their suggestions that we think you can do yourself as a team or as the founder of your charity, or if there's people in your marketing team that could do it. They're not highly complicated, let's rebuild the website suggestions. They are ways that we can increase the user experience or the click-throughs, or like allow people to get through to your donations easier. All little things that could help just generate more online for you guys. And we do one of those every week. And you can book on just on our calendar link, which I guess we can share after or something.
Yes,
and yeah, all we need of your time is like a 20-minute call to go through the suggestions. Everything else, we just go away and do it, give our expertise, put in a document for you, and you can action them if you want.
I love that. I love that. And also, we are just to just let people know, we are going to book on to get our optimizer, because one of the things I've learned is we need expertise like this, and having an expert spend their time, their valuable time, to go through our website, our marketing material, will definitely add value to us as an organization. So I recommend it to anyone watching today's show.
Do it.
To click on the link.
Yeah, do it. I mean, we're very aware that charities, they struggle with funding, with digital expertise, with being able to get a fancy shiny new website. So this is just a way of us giving back and helping improve what you've got right now to help increase your online donations.
Oh, fantastic. And Colin, before we close, do you have any final words for people watching today?
Final words. I don't know. What can I say? I suppose I think talking about the business stuff, I think for anyone out there, and I'm sure there are people listening who do want to do their own business and are thinking about it, just do it. Just if you understand who you are and what you can bring to the world, you should just take that leap. Just make sure you've got people that are around you that can help or support you, but believe in yourself and just do it. For any charities, obviously we love to help where we can. The Impact Optimizer is there for you guys. And the magazine for anyone who wants to learn more about mental health. It is for the creative industry, but really I think anyone can relate to the stories. There's a free download on the website for that. And I guess last plug would be nice to talk about Few and Far. So Few and Far is my creative agency, and the address is www.few-far.co. Check us out, follow us, do all that stuff.
Outstanding, amazing. Thank you so much, Colin.
Cheers,
so guys, that was Colin Grist. Before we properly close, I just wanted, can you guys see my screen? Give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Yeah, okay, perfect. Before I go, I just wanted to once again share some good news. One of our success seekers, Nicole, managed to get a graduate scheme with Grant Thornton, which will be starting in 2022. Amazing. Yes, celebrating successes. Woohoo! Next, our last event, last in 2021. This is a picture of our speed mentoring event. We're going to have so much more happening in 2022. For those who don't know, that includes jobs. We've got around 27 jobs that we're currently filling across the UK. Majority of them are aimed at Kickstarters. So if you are unemployed, 16 to 24, and you're on university credit, give us a call, because we have got around 27 roles currently available. We also, when it comes to work experience, we are about to kickstart the recruitment for our investment banking, wealth management, 12-week summer programs. So look out for that to start. Next, we've got our coaching program. We've teamed up with Sodexo, and we've got coaches who are going to coach people one-to-one. So guys, sign up to GS. We've also got events coming up. We've got mentoring. We've also kicked off a special legal mentoring program with Paul Hastings. So we're looking for young people who are interested in mentoring in law to come a step forward. But also we've got a bank of over 150 mentors across different industries who are looking to mentor you. Ooh. And then before we finish, also one more time before we finish, and I don't know why it's showing and also before we should finish, I'm just going to finish off with the video of Generation Success. I don't know what screen is showing. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm just going to play the video of GS so you guys can find out more about us as an organization. We were founded after the London riots, when all we saw were burning buildings, and all we heard was that this was a lost generation. As a group of young people, we decided we'd had enough. We'd had enough of seeing burning buildings. We wanted to see burning ambition and aspiration. We wanted to create a world where you can come from the poorest of households, yet still have access to the same opportunities as someone from the wealthiest. We are Generation Success, a for impact organization which is determined to create a world where your career opportunities are not determined by your birth.
The most valuable thing that Generation Success offers, I think, is knowledge.
Networking, opportunities and lifelong connections.
It's fantastic. It's educational.
Generation Success's events, mentoring, training, career advice and job opportunities provide our community of equality champions and student fellows with the chance to achieve their dream career and enable others to do the same.
The networking in this organisation is amazing. Every time I've been here, I've met someone new, I've gone on to make great contacts, and it's just all round great networking.
And when I come to these events, I don't feel alone and I don't feel scared about pursuing my dreams because I can see that people have been where I am now and gone to places that I want to go in.
It brings a very diverse group of people together. They all have a sense of wanting to give and support each other. And I think that really breaks barriers down.
It's great to really give that knowledge to someone else. Hey, this is what I've done, this is what you can do, really help them build their businesses, which I think is amazing. But for me, the real killer for mentoring comes from the other way around. It's kind of what I learned from them.
The real opportunity to share knowledge, whether that's from the speakers, whether that's from the people who network with each other, whether that's from the immense resources that the members have access to. There's so much knowledge, and as we know, knowledge is power, so it's giving everyone a huge amount of power.
Whether you're a dream hunter looking for that first rung on the ladder, an organization seeking to make a structural changes, or an established professional looking to give back and support the move to equality, Generation Success can turn your ambition into reality. The time is now to be part of that change. That is it, guys. Thank you so much for catching us for this day show. Colin, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Have an amazing 2020 to you guys.